What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is your review for All Stars, RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars Season 6, Episode 5. So, we're back in the workroom. Yara's gone home. You know we gotta go through the lipstick. So it looks like it was a unanimous decision. Everybody voted for Yara to go home except for Yara, who obviously she voted for Kyria. So Jan has to come clean and say, well, I feel stupid because I was voting based on how I thought everybody else was going to vote. So I voted for Kyria. And so Kyria was like, huh? She said, well, I thought we said we were going to base it off of, performance. And Yara actually had a win. And so I felt like that put Yara over you. And so they were like, girl, at this point, we've been here long enough that we know who's who and what's what. And you can vote based on what you think, you know what I mean? And on one hand, I feel like if that's what y'all agreed to, then Jan ain't wrong. But they were like, girl, it's your vote. Ultimately, it's your vote. You can vote for who you want to. And at the end of the day, I think that's really what it boils down to. Like, you can, and I said that from the beginning, like, the way they playing the game ain't the way I'm playing the game. I would play the game, but I guess that's why I ain't there, child, because the way I play the game, be like, listen, who do I think is my biggest competition? Now is my opportunity to eliminate them. Like, to me, that's the dumbest mindset. I want to beat the best. I want to win. You beat the best because you were at the top and they were at the bottom. It doesn't mean you have to have a head-to-head competition at the end. It means that I beat the best because when it was my week to win, I eliminated the person who I thought was my biggest competition. To me, it's dumb to keep the people that y'all think are the best talent when you have an opportunity to eliminate. Anyway. Do y'all think that runners on the track slow up when they get next to their biggest competition to say, I wanted to come down to the tape. I want to see who can lean in first and get that last second. No. They're going to lap them as many times as they can lap their asses. But whatever. So, anyway, the ladies are back the next day, and we are getting ready for our newest challenge. Now, Ru, I like that suit you had on. Me and Raja was feeling the same way. I like that suit, honey, that you came. It looked like a very Brady Christmas, okay? It was real cute. But, and they must have been filming this in the winter because I feel like a lot of these suits look like they are heavy. Ruda had on turtlenecks and all kinds of stuff. So I feel like this is a winter situation. But neither here nor there. But then some of the queens be having on shorts. Child, I don't know. I can't keep up shit. So this week's maxi challenge, no mini challenge. The maxi challenge, I guess that's why they went on and got the reading the reading room out the way because we really had no whole lot of mini challenges. I guess Ru was like, we don't have time for the mini challenges, but I know the viewers want to see us read each other, so let me go on and get that out the way now, and we can move on with other stuff on the agenda. So what it is that they are doing a red table talk type situation. They're calling it the pink table talk. There will be 3 different topics. One will be body image, one will be motherhood, and one will be sex. And they said you can choose your group. So there's always that pressure when you're choosing your group. So let me just go through who the groups were and what their topic was, okay? Eureka, Trinity, and Kyria, they're going to be doing sex. Raja, Kylie, and Scarlett will be doing motherhood. And then Pandora, Ginger, and Jan will be doing body issues. Now, there was a little dilemma over who was going to do motherhood. Scarlett fought for motherhood. Ginger wanted to do motherhood. One thing Ginger was like is that I don't want to do body image. It's so cliche. Yes, I'm a fat girl in a little body, and that is not necessarily I feel like that's what people would expect. But I have some things I might want to talk about as far as motherhood is concerned. Scarlett was like, I've been really quiet, but I'm going to really fight for this. I'm going to really, really fight for motherhood because this is what I want to do. Yada, yada, yada. So Ginger finally just let Scarlett have it, right? She was like, I'm gonna let Scarlett have it. Now, let's get into these groups. Eureka, Trinity, and Kyria. First of all, they all looked really good when they came out, honey. They looked good. And they got into some good conversations. I think they did a good job of balancing the fact that they were having a serious conversation with the jokes. Kyria talked about how for a while she lived as a trans woman. And that's why she has the Brazilian butt lift and some of the other things that she had body work done because she was in the process of transitioning to living as a woman. But then she changed her mind, and now she's, back to presenting as a man most days, unless she's in drag or whatever. Y'all know what I'm saying. Unless they're in drag. And so it's like, I didn't know that. And now, because I was wondering, I was like, you are really committed to your drag persona. Whenever I see the drag performers that have like the plastic surgery and stuff, I'm like, oh, you are committed. You know what I mean? But now that makes sense. And that gets into a whole nother conversation that I'm not gonna go down that road right now, about children when they want to transition and how much do we allow them to do at a young age. I'm not talking about Akira now, because Akira was old enough to do it and make that decision, but I'm talking about kids. Anyway, we're not gonna go down that road. That's a yellow brick road, and it could end up somewhere else. Then Trinity K. Bonet talked about how she has openly lived with the fact that she's HIV positive, and how it is not a death sentence, how you can have a very active sex life, that at this point she is undetectable, which means that she cannot transmit the disease. And she was saying how a lot of people don't know that and don't understand that, and of course Eureka identifies as non-binary, and so there's a whole thing with that. So it was a really, really good conversation, and at the end of each conversation there was a pink furry box that had a little toy in it that at its surface looked like a sex toy, but then when you broke it down, it was something. Now theirs was these little things you put in your mouth. They look like lips, but they hold your mouth open. It is clear what we all thought that was, but they say it was a mouth exerciser. Never heard of it, but okay. So then we have Raja, Kylie, and Scarlett. They were talking about motherhood. Now Raja got into her relationship with her mom. She was saying how she grew up in a very religious home. Her mother's I want to say Raja said his mother's a preacher, but certainly very active. He comes from a very, conservative religious home, and so what comes along with that. And he said when we were growing up, we were kids, me and my mom were really close. I was like her twin. We did everything together, and just as I got older, I'm not quite clear if his mother has come right out and just rejected him and his lifestyle, or if he feels like he just feels the rejection and has reacted to the feeling that there was rejection. Does that make sense what I'm saying? But he did speak on it, and he's like, listen, at the end of the day, I love my mother. Like, this is not about me not liking my mom, but it's just about being honest about our relationship, and that there has been a breakdown, and it is, it's hurtful. Scarlett talked about the fact that she has two moms, and she went off on this whole story about the two moms and how they had lives and they had done this and they had done that, but how they found each other, and that, it was sort of the second act, and how great that, and I felt, let me say this, and this is not to take anything away from Scarlett's story, but I felt like it was very self-serving. That whole time she was telling her story, I felt like it was a very self-serving moment. I felt like she fought so hard for motherhood just so she could be like, look at my family, look at my moms, look at this. I just felt like it was very self-serving. And I know some people might say, well, they're all being self-serving. Maybe. But the other people I felt like were sharing... I don't know how to word it, but it just was different for me. It hit me different. Does that make sense, y'all? Put it in the comments if it makes sense or not. It just hit me different. And honestly, I wrote in my notes it was boring. And I hate to say that when people are talking about their truth and telling their story, but it was boring for me. The last group was Pandora Box, Ginger Minge, and Jan, and they were talking body issues. And again, I felt like it was very surface. I felt like Ginger told us about, the fact that as a child she had a bowel situation and had to have surgery, and as a result has gained weight, and kind of that's where the weight comes from. She talks about the fact that, of course, we know how these RuPaul fans are. They get into your DMs, and we know exactly how they know how to get to you and tell you that you ain't ish and all that other stuff. And Pandora talked about fighting with, Father Time, and how Botox is her friend. And, that's the one thing that she wished that she could take the stigma away as far as drag is concerned, because people feel like, you get to a certain age, you just sort of age out. And I feel like that's pretty consistent with a lot of professions. I can say most professions. I mean, hell, even in my profession, people start looking at you at a certain point like, Ain't it time for you to go do something else? So I feel like that's a problem across the board. And then we had Jan, and Jan talked about how, when season 12 was on, she was one weight, but of course with COVID and everything, by the time season 12 came on the air and she would do lives and she would do promotions, the fans will point out the fact that she gained weight. Now, I'm going to say this. I understand that body issues, a lot of times it comes down to weight because, I'm a big girl. And I know whenever somebody think they're going to hurt my feelings, the first thing they want to do is call me fat. And I'll be like, girl, if you think that's going to hurt my feelings, I hate to be the one to tell you that's not going to do it. But I just feel like it was surface. I feel like you went to the obvious and you spoke on the obvious and you really didn't dig deeper to talk about some of the other issues. Not even so much like you personally, but just some other issues. And so out of the three groups, my favorite group was Eureka, Trinity, and Akira. I feel like they had good chemistry. I felt like they had, like I said, they had a really good balance between telling their story and still being comical and interesting. I just think they did a good job of that. So the runway was Clash of the Patterns. Trinity... No, let me get to the... I'm sorry. Let me rewind before we go there. The workroom scene when they were getting ready for the runway. Raja had like a whole breakdown moment. And she was saying, I tossed and turned all night because the last thing I want is for my mother to see that and for her to feel like I was attacking her or I was kind of put, you know how the black family is. What happens here stays here. And Akira and Trinity sort of had a sister girl moment with her. Honestly, there's really nobody else in the workroom who was going to understand those types of concerns, right? I can appreciate that nobody else butt in, that they let them have that moment. Because, Raja had a whole breakdown. But I appreciate, because I just kept waiting for somebody to come butt in, a Jan or Eureka or somebody. And I think Eureka came over there, but Eureka read the room, honey. See, Eureka been hanging out with Bob and Shangela. Eureka read the room. She came over. She saw what was going, and she moseyed right on out. And so I feel like she read the room, honey. But it was a moment. It was definitely a moment. And then, and of course, everybody felt like they did a good job. And I was like, I don't know what they looked at. So I guess judge this week is Aisha Taylor. And again, like I said, the runway is Clash of the Patterns. Trinity K. Bonet, I loved her look. I think she was probably my favorite look. It was almost like a Wakanda business meeting. It was very tribal. The makeup was tribal. She didn't have on a wig. She just had her natural blonde, short, curly, natural hair. Her makeup was very tribal, had like tribal markings. And the outfit was like, it had African influenced pattern. But it was like a business suit. It was a skirt with the blazer, with the arms out situation. I was here for it. I think hers was probably one of my favorites that came down the runway. I wrote in my notes, yes. Because it was everything for me. Eureka came down in a patterned gown, that had like a mermaid fishtail thing at the bottom. Eureka. Akira... I like you, Akira. You my girl. But she did the whole inside out pattern thing. And I feel like, and I wrote in my notes, been done. In my notes, it's been done. I think this is the third time we've seen that concept of the inside out pattern. It looks like, the back in the day patterns when you had to cut them out, when your mama would cut them patterns out and all that. It looked nice. It was well executed. But again, I was like, been done. Raja came out in a very African print. Again, hers was, in my opinion, more African. I feel like Trinity's was an African influence. Raja's was African, but it was different. Raja's was more, I'm going to hang out with my girls for the weekend outfit versus, like I said, Trinity's was like boardroom situation. Kylie had a leopard king meets fishtail type outfit. It was very Clash of the Patterns. Scarlett had a quilt with the actual love letters that her grandparents wrote each other during, I would say, like World War II or whatever. It was cute or whatever. Jan had a whole, again, y'all know Jan likes to be out of the box. Y'all know Jan likes to be different. So hers, I didn't feel like was a clash of the patterns. She had shopping bags, and the shopping bags were all different patterns. But I don't feel like, I mean, her dress had a pattern on it, but it didn't read clash of the patterns to me. It didn't read that to me, but okay. Right. The judges and Michelle Visage agree with me, and I don't know if I like the fact that me and Michelle Visage agree, because y'all know sometimes Michelle be getting on my nerves. Ginger Minge had a very like safari leopard dress situation. It was cute. I liked her wig. I liked Ginger's wig. Pandora Box had that hers was very, very clash of the patterns. It was the big stitches, and each, it was like a patchwork, but they were all like the same like color scheme. It was cute. It was cute. So we get down to it, and the winning team was Eureka, Trinity, and Akira. However, the top queen of the week was Ginger Minge. So Ginger is top. Eureka, Trinity, and Akira are all safe. So they end up, so that's who they end up talking to on the stage. Now listen, Rue said that watching Scarlett's story, it made her uncomfortable. I don't know where the uncomfortable came from, but I told you, it just felt very self-serving to me. I didn't know how to read it. It was very self-serving to me. It just did. But Rue was not here for Scarlett's whole situation. With Jan, they're like, listen, Jan, you are always on 20. We need you to figure out how to give us 10. Like, even if you're just giving us 10. Jan's like, I don't know what to do with that, because this is who I am. Like, people keep acting like I'm being fake or I'm being phony, but this is who I am. I'm a 24-hour a day cheerleader. And again, this was the same criticism she got on her season. And listen, Jan, if this is who you really are, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you can be who you are and still play down certain situations. I had a situation a couple of weeks ago. I'm loud. I'm loud all the time. I don't hear myself. I don't know when I'm being loud. And I had a situation where I was around somebody that's not used to being around me, and they were taking my loudness as aggression. They felt like whenever I was getting loud, that meant I was being aggressive. And I was like, no, I'm just loud. And I was like, you have permission to tell me your voice is getting elevated. You're getting a little loud, because I don't hear it. But people who are used to being around me and people who know me, they know to say, okay, bring it down. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't get offended and I don't get mad, because I know that my voice tends to elevate. I be yelling when I'm doing my reviews. I'm sitting in the house by my damn self. I got a microphone. Oh, shoot. Where's my microphone? Oh, Lord. I hope the sound ain't messed up on this thing. Hold on. Oh, Lord. I hope y'all can hear me, because I've been talking for 17 minutes. Lord knows I ain't trying to redo this whole video. Anyway, so that was like the bigger criticism. Pandora's criticism was they feel like she's holding back. Like, listen, we know that you have more to give. So, and Kylie was in that, bottom as well. So they go backstage and they let everybody know who was at the bottom. And of course, the question is, well, what were the critiques? Scarlett is going to say, well, I feel like Jan got the worst critique. Like, they didn't really have a whole lot of bad things to say about me. And I'm like, girl, RuPaul said you made her uncomfortable. What are you talking about? But here was my problem. And again, I don't know if this was editing, but here's my problem. Y'all let her sit there and do it. Ain't nobody interrupt her and say, girl, that's a lie. That's not what Ru said. That's not how it went down. Listen, if y'all are fighting to make sure that they don't put y'all lipstick in the box, I would have cut her off real quick and said, Scarlett, now that's a lie. Because I'm sitting here listening to her and I'm like, girl, she is lying. Like, that is not how that deliberation went down. I mean, that panel went down. So they break off. You know how they got to break off the who's going to save who and all that good stuff. And so Ginger is like, girl, give me the tea. And so Scarlett is telling Ginger, well, it was really Jan. I mean, they really came for Jan. I mean, they really said this about Jan. They really said that about Jan. It was Jan. It was all Jan. So when it was Jan's turn to talk, Ginger said, and I can appreciate that Ginger was like, listen, I'm going to just be real with you. Scarlett said it was all about you, that you got the worst critique. What's good? What's tea? And she was like, that is not what I said. And so Jan broke it down and was like, okay, listen, I ain't trying to throw nobody under the bus, but A, B, C, D, E, F, and G went down. Girl, I said, Scarlett, you a whole mess. You are a whole mess, Scarlett. But what it tells me is, Scarlett, you have not changed, evolved, grown, or matured from your first season. Because in your first season, this tells me this is just who you are. Because in your initial season, you were clueless, you didn't understand the criticism, you didn't know when you were being criticized, and you were real good for throwing somebody else under the bus, and you were really good for feeling like you did better than what everybody else saw. Now I'm all here for self-confidence, I'm all here for feeling like you the biz naive, but you also have to understand when the criticism comes and take that criticism in. So it came down to the lip sync, honey. Ginger Minge, and so the stage is lifting up, and it gets to the top, and baby, it's Bianca Del Rio. Now, what was funny was, first of all, everybody was like, Bianca, and even Miss Akira was like, now listen, Bianca, you are the shit, but you ain't never burned no stage down as a lip syncer. And Bianca says, I hate to be the one to tell you, but I'm not here to lip sync. I was just in the neighborhood. She was like, note to you ladies, if you do it right the first time, you don't have to come back for a second time. Like, she was roasting them. Then she said, I never had to lip sync during my season, so I don't feel like I should have to lip sync now. I said, girl, like, it was hilarious. I said, they put Bianca on just to roast them girls, okay? So then the real person came out, and it was Mayhem Miller, who I absolutely adore. I adore Mayhem. And the lip sync was Telephone or Phone or whatever by Lizzo, which is a cute song. And Mayhem did a really good lip sync to it. But what happened was Ginger turned it into a comedy. And she played off of Mayhem. So every time Mayhem did something, Ginger played off of it and turned it into, a little funny thing. And it was very campy. And we know that Ru loved camp. We know Ru loves camp. And so I knew that Ginger was going to win when Ginger kept, she even got, like, there was one point where Mayhem did a duck walk. And Ginger did like a duck walk, but of course it was like a half duck walk, and it was like I could do that too, but I really can't do it kind of thing. It was hilarious. Like, it absolutely was entertaining, and it was hilarious, but I felt bad for Mayhem because I was like, girl, everything you do, she just gonna come behind it and turn it into a joke. And Ru is here for all of it. Y'all know how Ru is about a joke. So Ginger ended up winning the lip sync. And she got the $30,000 because, remember, the tip kept rolling over. And I love Ginger because Ginger said, well, what I would like to do is give $2,500 to my teammates. Because, they don't get the money to the end of the season. So she said, I want to give $2,500 because, if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have won. Like, we were all on the same team. So I was here for that. I said, that's a sweetheart. You get $30,000. You can give away $5,000 of it. Okay? And then it was time to reveal the lipstick. Baby, she sent Scarlett home. And Scarlett ain't know what to do with herself, baby. Scarlett, you could see the look on Scarlett's face that she was in total shock and really thought she had done that. She thought Jan was on her way home. She just knew she had set that thing up. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.